Merry Christmas, Browns fans. It's schedule day. You get to open stuff early today. For the record, in case you've been like under a rock, comatose, whatever today, the NFL schedule is out, and with it, the Browns schedule is out. And we have thoughts. We have so many thoughts. Well, at least we have a few thoughts. You want to start us off, Steve?
Yeah, we were just talking, guys. I mentioned that I'm hiding a point. I'll keep it unhidden or make it unhidden now. But there's one thing I don't like about the schedule. It's got nothing to do with anything the Browns did. It's got something to do with the way the league does business. And I think a lot of the times the NFL puts the marketing horse before the common sense horse. And here where the league failed is in giving the Browns the Kansas City Chiefs on opening day. Guys, what's the Browns record on opening day in the expansion era? What is it? 1-20-1, I believe. So if you want to build up a interest and a hot market, and Cleveland is a hot market, and it's going to get hotter, and in my opinion, it could be the biggest market the NFL has going, or if not the biggest, certainly the best and the most vibrant market that the NFL has going. If the Browns can get on some sort of a roll here to go with their playoff season last year. But here the league dumps the Chiefs in the Browns' lap on opening day. I guarantee you whoever did that never once mentioned that, hey, guys, the Browns never win on opening day. We're going to bum out all the people in Cleveland all over again, handing them a loss, which is essentially what happens here. Even if the Browns play it very well, that's going to be an extremely difficult game to win.
Steve, you opened up the perfect way. Nate and I have been banging heads on this back and forth because I disagree with your take. So,
all right, that's cool. I mean, you got to play them sometimes. Is that what you're going to say, George?
Huh? No. It's more of a case of them having a rebuilt offensive line, including their tackles. And Nate believes that you've got more to worry about with the Browns defense, possibly having nine new starters. I say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers left a blueprint on how to beat up on Mahomes, and an offensive line isn't going to gel as quickly as a defensive line. He says it's a matter of numbers. I say the opposite. So Nate's in your camp, and we got like massive amounts of money and wings. The most important
been banging heads.
Chicken wings.
Because George is – here's the thing. George is dwelling on the offensive line getting communication down, which is important, and I totally agree with him. But the defensive line, the linebacking core, the secondary, I mean, these are all new units on a defense that has to get together, figure it out, be on the same page, have the communication down pat against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. I think it's a big deal. And I think this defense is going to be good. It's certainly really talented, but it might just take a few weeks to gel. And here you got the Chiefs out of the gate. I think it's a really, really tough bell to answer to begin the season.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just going in the other direction win-wise, and no, I'm not drinking anybody's damn Kool-Aid, Jim Jones. So
could have given the Browns somebody else. That's all I'm saying. To have the instant gratification of having a hot opener in advance, and then you're going to get what you probably get, and that's going to be a Kansas City win because Kansas City almost always wins at home. But I would have waited. Whenever the NFL would have spotted up the Kansas City-Cleveland game, it was going to be a good game. It would have been a better game if they would have waited. That's all I'm saying. You do have to play them sometimes, so no great big deal. They recovered from 0-1 last year. Or recovered from a disastrous start last year. So not going to kill you to lose to the Chiefs if you lose. But I just would have spotted that one somewhere else if I were Mr. Goodell.
I refresh my memory. Was Goodell commissioner when the Browns vacated town? I don't remember.
Or was that Tags? I'm pretty sure that was Tags. Yeah.
Okay. I think the NFL. You talk about marketing. I think they know they have the Cleveland market regardless, especially considering some of the teams the Browns have put on the field the past 20 some odd years. So I don't even think that was a consideration. Obviously. So, other than that, what do we think? I mean,
well, before we leave this one real quick, this morning I think I said 13-8 for Andy Reid in openers off the Google machine, but it's actually 14-8. The Chiefs have won 5 openers in a row. Mahomes is 10-0 in September. He's 6-0 in the regular season against the AFC North. So those are just some more reasons I agree with Steve that the Chiefs are the obvious favorite here. But, I think that there are other very notable matchups. What else jumped out to you guys? Obviously, week 1 is a huge headline, but obviously we kind of went through that this morning too. So what else jumped out to you guys right away?
You know what? Some of the primetime matchups are a bit sketchy to me in a couple instances. The Denver Broncos matchup, for instance, that one is like, okay. It's a Thursday night game. I don't get the allure of that. It's in that regard, it's a typical Thursday night game. If I weren't working it, more than likely I'd pass on it, like I do most Thursday night games. I don't know how you guys view the Steelers, but I understand it's a rivalry game, but I view them on being on the back 9 at this point, or close to the back 9. So I don't know. I could be wrong in that in those assessments. Those two matchups seem a bit lackluster to me at this point. But we don't know what the season is going to hold. So,
One thing that jumped out to me about the schedule, Nate and George, is that of course, the KC game. Yeah, we're talking about that. But after that, from a national perspective, the Browns don't necessarily go away, but really interesting Browns matchups go away. Now, there's going to be all kinds of buzz, more than you'll ever want, if the Browns start winning the early part of the schedule. But look who they have in the early part of the schedule after Kansas City. It's a pretty blasé menu. Houston Texans, Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings, Los Angeles Chargers, Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, there's a little bit of buzz and a few names that you can tie to all of those teams. Going starting with, I guess, Kyler Murray at the end of that, and now I'm getting stuck already. There aren't a lot of names that tie to those games. What I'm saying is that's that part of the schedule for a long time is going to be blasé for people outside looking in, looking for big Browns buzz. Browns fans won't care about that, though. One thing I like about the schedule from a Browns perspective is those are all winnable games. Every one of them, I would think the Browns are going to be a Las Vegas favorite in those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games before the night game against Denver. So I like the fact that they get to prove themselves. If they're a good team, they'll come out of that stretch with heading into the meat of the schedule, heading into their first primetime game on October 21st in pretty good shape.
And maybe that's what the schedule makers were considering when they gave them Kansas City to start. Who knows?
Maybe.
Logically, you're logically speaking, they could get on a roll with those first 6 games, obviously. So, yeah.
George, I was going to say, you might feel differently about Denver if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback.
There's the wild card.
And it's also funny, right, that the Browns are playing on Christmas, which will be a nationally televised game, in Green Bay. So either way, if that were to be the landing spot for Rodgers, if he does leave, the Browns would play him in a spotlight game. The thing that jumped out to me, guys, was they don't have an AFC North game until Halloween Day, and that's against the Steelers. And that starts a stretch of their final 10 games. 6 of those are in the division. The most interesting little quirk to me within that is the back-to-back games against the Ravens. And we know they went 0-2 against the Ravens last season, got blown out in the opener, had the instant classic shootout on Monday Night Football. Hey, the Browns with overhauling the defense, specifically with drafting Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I think a lot of this is aimed at stopping, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And guess what? The guy we all recognize when we think of the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm fascinated by back-to-back games against the Ravens. The first time the Browns have played a opponent in back-to-back games since 1957, the second time in the franchise's history. The interesting thing is those back-to-back games sandwich the Browns bye, which is a late bye. It's a Week 13 bye. Okay, so the flip side of that is during Week 13, the Ravens have to play the Steelers. So I find that really interesting, and I think we can get to this later, but kind of going through it, to me it makes sense for the Browns coming off the bye. That second game against the Ravens is at home, and so it's in Cleveland. Ravens coming off a Steelers game. I think that's a shot for the Browns to split if they lose the first game in Baltimore. And let's face it, I think these could be two really great games, and that's a primetime game. One of those is a Sunday night football game, and George, you had no complaints about that in primetime.
Oh, absolutely. To me, that's the marquee game there. I firmly believe that.
That's the one at Baltimore, by the way. Yeah, the first of the two big games, and the one at Baltimore is the nighter.
Especially after that battle they gave them on national TV last year. Absolutely.
But guys, and Nate, to extend your thought about that interesting two set there against Baltimore, sandwiched around the bye. I don't know. You could probably look it up and maybe find a stretch of games that they had when one of their few seasons where they were semi-contenders or contenders, when they had a stretch of games that were this tough. But it's not just Baltimore, bye, and then Baltimore. After that, it's the Las Vegas Raiders, who I think could be tough this year. And as you mentioned, Las Vegas has to play the Steelers between those Browns-Ravens games. But after Baltimore, Las Vegas Raiders, a pretty tough stretch in itself, in my opinion. They have Green Bay after that, and then Pittsburgh after that. So it's that's easily the meat grinder in the schedule that was released today.
Hey, when you play in one of the best divisions in the league that had 3 playoff teams last season, and you backload the schedule with divisional games, it's going to be a tough finish. You're exactly right, Steve. I think that Las Vegas, coming off that double whammy with Baltimore, it could be a real threat. Obviously, they won in Cleveland last season. I can't get that out of my head, and I totally agree. And then you go to Green Bay. I think there's a threat there. When I look at the schedule, I think there's the greatest threat I see in this for a Stefanski-led Browns team to lose back games for the first time is right there in that window.
Yeah, and on the Raiders, Nate, I looked this up today, probably because I was thumping the tub for years about hey Haslam's or hey Randy Lerner, hire Gruden. I wanted that kind of juice in the leadership, and of course that's a debate for another time. But my point about the Raiders right now is they were a really tough team coming out of the gate last year before they fell apart. They could be a really tough team again this year. What tells you that they were a really tough team coming out of the gate last year was that they beat, guess who? The Kansas City Chiefs among 3 wins against teams that went to the playoffs last year. So within their first 7 games last year, the Raiders beat 3 playoff teams, and one of them was the Chiefs. So I'm kind of circling the Raiders as one of my most interesting games on the schedule.
Most interesting, huh?
I got another one, guys. And let's we're all going to be interested in this, but there it is. It's November 14th. To me, as fascinating perhaps as any game on the schedule, and for me that would include the division games, is November 14th against your old best friend Bill Belichick. But to me, New England with the whole landscape of are they finished or or can you automatically don't write Belichick off? Instead, you assume that Belichick's going to do something to bring the Patriots back. They're going to be a really tough team. But Stefanski, the new Browns coach, against Belichick, the old Browns coach, who's about Stefanski's age when the Browns hired him. I mean, that's just a really intriguing matchup.
I totally agree. I think that another one away from the division, away from Kansas City and Green Bay, that interests me and has for a while is Arizona. They're going to get Arizona at home October 17th, 4:05 kickoff on Fox. I just think of Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield and how the Browns went there a couple of years ago. Baker looking for bragging rights, and Jarvis Landry ends up yelling. Freddie Kitchens on the sideline. It was just a disaster. Obviously, it's a whole new era, but that's a good team that can frustrate people. I think they're 8-8 last year. I think they're going to be better. J.J. Watt is there now, so he will be Cleveland after all, just as an opponent. And, they've got Zaven Collins, who they just drafted. I think that game is going to be a really interesting one too. So that one I circle. Of course, Kevin Stefanski going back to Minnesota, where he had 14 seasons, is a storyline. I don't know, George. You got anything else?
I'm interested in seeing Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert. That one that could be intriguing as all hell, because I think that kid is the real deal, and I don't know what it is about the Browns and seeing quarterbacks for the first time throughout their freaking history, no matter who the coach is, but they generally have trouble. So that one's circled on my calendar without a doubt.
That's a road game, so yeah, it's going to be tough. The Browns have struggled against the Chargers. I remember one time in the fairly recent years, the Chargers had literally everyone on the offensive line hurt. I researched the guys they had to throw out there on the offensive line. It was the worst group I've ever researched, and I've been doing this for a long time, my spare time. But there was a really, really, really bad offensive line that Rivers was playing behind. Yet he used his resourcefulness to beat the Browns that day. So, yeah, it's any game against the Chargers is going to scare you a little bit, I think, on the road.
To your point about facing the new age quarterback, George, Chicago week 3 is interesting because of the Justin Fields factor.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know. I mean, is he going to start in week 3?
Here's the thing. Do you make that gangster move that the Bears made to move up and then leave that kid on the bench, knowing that he's going in with something personally to prove because of the way a lot of the speculation surrounding his drop, his skills, everything, for lack of a better term, was BS. So I picture Justin Fields, all 6'3" of them, with this monstrous Baker Mayfield-sized boulder on his shoulder. You know what I mean? I think he's going to be that motivated.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for an Ohio State quarterback, any Ohio State quarterback, to pan out in the NFL. So I'll believe it when I see it, George. Usually on that, more or less on that fact, there's got to be some sort of jinx. I mean, the Buckeyes have been playing football since the 1600s, and they haven't had a great NFL quarterback. So
wasn't Tom back there though?
I will say that you'd rather have him, if he is a starter, in week 3 as a rookie than later in the season where he gets some experience under his belt. And another thing about the quarterbacks, with the late AFC North schedule within the schedule, the Browns aren't going to face with the Bengals until November 7th. Yeah, and then they face them in the finale, January 9th. So I point that out because I think highly of Joe Burrow, and you've got a guy coming off a torn ACL, a severe knee injury. So
there's a wild card.
Right. So the end of the season we get the odds of him, being closer to himself increase, I would think. So that's another kind of quarterback situation to monitor when it comes to the schedule, the way it fell for the Browns. Do you guys want to do quick impressions, schedule game, whatever you want to
call it? Let's run through 17 real quick. Just say who you think's going to win. Count them up as you go.
Okay. You got the schedule, or you want me to read them?
I got it.
Okay.
Kansas City. I'm going to call that a loss. I think it's going to be – I think they're going to win, though. Weird, huh?
You keep track of yours, and I'll keep track of mine. We can each keep track of our own.
No, I'm just saying – fine, I'll rack it up as a win.
You call it a win, I call it. I got 12 right.
Yeah, we'll each have a record at the end. All right.
Houston.
Home opener, Houston. I say Cleveland.
Browns.
Chicago at home.
Cleveland.
Easy win.
Ooh. At Minnesota. This one could be tough.
Cleveland.
Ooh.
I'll go Vikings. I think Rick Spielman has a good organization up there. Cousins isn't done yet.
Yeah, but
is that a Stark County? Is that a Stark County little plug over there?
Yeah. Yes, I'm sitting in my provincial chair right now. Actually, I'm sitting right by the Summit Portage Stark County line right now. So yeah, but I'm close enough to Stark County. That's a Spielman plug.
Los Angeles Chargers on the road on the West Coast.
I wrote down LA Chargers here, which is why my ears perked up when you mentioned Herbert.
So did I.
I got Browns because they'll have resolve coming off a loss at Minnesota.
Yeah, that Minnesota one bothers me. Arizona at home. Nationally televised, it looks like.
Yeah, I've got Cleveland.
Yep.
That could be an overtime. I got Cleveland.
I got the Browns on that one, too. Thursday night football, that lackluster, Denver Broncos. Man, the shine has come off of that one through the years. I'm going to go with Browns, depending upon their quarterback situation.
All right, when I did the schedule game, I kept Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay just so I didn't scramble my brain, so I went Cleveland against Denver.
I could go provincial here because Mark Thews, the Canton McKinley receiver, was John Elway's right-hand man out there. But I am going to say that's going to be an easy win for the Browns.
I could have gone provincial in Arizona. There's a kid from the suburb where I live who plays wide receiver for them. I didn't do that.
Me neither.
Okay, we get into the AFC North. Steelers, Halloween. Weird things happen on Halloween. So,
well, I'm going Cleveland anyway.
I'm going to take the Steelers in that one.
I've got Cleveland. Ben's about my age.
The following week, the Bengals.
Cleveland.
I'm going to take Cleveland. Week after, on the road against New England. Who's New England's quarterback?
That's another quarterback situation with the rookie Mac Jones coming in. Him, Cam Newton. I know I'm interested to hear Steve's take, but I'm going Cleveland.
So am I.
Yeah, to me, that's a coin flip just because I have so much belief that Belichick isn't a product of Tom Brady that I'm going with New England in that. And Cleveland will be and should be favored, but Belichick will find a way in that too. And in fact, this is I might make a quick point. One of Kevin's flaws as a rookie head coach was he did get outmatched and outcoached by three of the real veterans. So yeah, I've got Patriots in that one.
Just out of curiosity, Steve, do you think Belichick is motivated to get things righted there simply because Brady won the Super Bowl without him?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to finish that question, George, that's an easy yes. He definitely is, even going on 70.
Okay, next, Detroit Lions. Yeah, I'm not even,
Cleveland Browns.
Nationally televised at B-More against the Ravens. Now,
Baltimore.
I think the series is going to be split, but that ain't going to be the one the Browns win.
I think it's going to be split, but I don't know if you remember Gary Barnard's catching impossible passes between his legs and then rolling into the end zone, but that was at Baltimore. So I say split too, but I'm not even going to say which is going to be one where. I won't be surprised at all if the split is each team winning on the road.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. I'm going to go with the Browns winning the rematch for the reasons we talked about before, coming off a bye and the Ravens coming off a Steelers game.
I just went split. So do I have to choose which?
You don't have to, but you already said you already thought that the Ravens would win in Baltimore. So if you're saying split, you've got the Browns coming off the bye.
Here's the thing. You guys talked about this Raiders game. You talk about Chucky. Yeah, I think, with all due respect, I really think this is a revenge game because of the way the Browns played against them last season, when they were basically slapped around on their home field. You have to remember that. So I'm going to take the Raiders. The Browns.
And that was a weather game. That was one of those nasty weather games. In this game, the interesting thing about this game is we know it at home, but we don't know, is it December 18th or 19th? Well, either way, it could be another weather game. But yes, they have not finalized the date or the kickoff time on this one.
It could be nationally televised too.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's 4 nationally televised and 3 primetime games. That's just for now. Games can be flexed. This Raiders game can become one that's added to that list. I actually, when I did this schedule game, I have this going to Las Vegas.
Last year, guys, when the Raiders were in town and won that game, I mean, afterward, Gruden said, and he was wrong. We did have an idea. I knew how it was bad out there just from walking around. Gruden, after the game, said, "You guys have no idea how bad the weather was down here." And it was really bad. I don't care how bad the weather is on December 18th or December 19th or February 18th for that matter. It's not going to be worse than that day. The weather dictated everything that day. I don't think it's going to be as bad. I like the Browns, and again, it will be played in more normal conditions.
You get a schedule forecast and forecast 6 months ahead of time on this video. 7 months ahead of time.
Okay, the Browns fans get a present on Christmas Day.
Again, I've got Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay for purposes of this exercise, so I've got Green Bay.
Yeah, I can't dispute that.
Yeah, and they'll be saying when I was in Green Bay in 2001 when the Browns played up there. The Browns got killed, but it was very charming. All the Green Bay fans were singing Christmas carols midway through the fourth quarter. But I don't think the fans will be nearly as charmed up there this year. I think it's going to be an even game, but I go Green Bay there as well.
Monday night in Pittsburgh. Now you got to imagine the Steelers in both games are going to remember that playoff game. I mean, that's got to leave a bad taste in your mouth for months upon months. You know what? I'm going to be bold. I'm going to take the Browns there.
You got a split, right?
No, I split the Ravens.
Oh, I thought you said weird things happen on Halloween and you were going to take the Steelers.
No, I said weird things happen on Halloween, and that was it. And I took the Browns.
Oh, okay. I have a sweep as well. I got the Browns here.
I've got Pittsburgh just because I'm from Canton Township in Stark County, and you have to show me. That's wrong place, but you still have to show me. It's been 2003 since the Browns won at Pittsburgh, right? So I'm
Well, I mean, they won the playoff game.
well,
They snapped.
gee, Nate, you're getting picky now. It was only a playoff game. I'm sorry.
Well, it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, but in the regular season, with both teams still in the hunt, yeah, I'll apologize for that faulty observation there, but still have a hunch that the ebb and flow of the season is going to. I'm going to call my next one in advance. The Browns are one of those teams, and Mayfield in particular, who get the resolve together when something goes against them. So I call a loss at Pittsburgh and a win in the finale against Cincinnati.
All right, guys, we would be done, but now we have 17 games. So Cincinnati at home in the finale. Who you got?
I got the Browns.
So do I.
It's weird seeing a regular season game on January 9th. That's going to take some getting used to. And I suspect eventually they'll end up starting the season later, or starting it earlier, Labor Day weekend, somewhere down the line. Of course, It won't make a difference if they ever get to 18 games now, will it?
Steve, did you have the finale?
Yeah, I called it when I was calling the loss at Pittsburgh. My thought was that the Browns are a team that uses resolve after adversity to do what it needs to do in the next game. And I'll go with last year's finish was a perfect example. They didn't play very well in the regular season game against the Steelers, but kind of gathered themselves and really did play well in the playoff game.
Good Lord, I got them at 12-5.
That's exactly what I have. I've got
no
losses.
one can hold me to that.
I've got 12-5, but this might change. We've got a long way to go. We gotta see where Aaron Rodgers ends up. But I've got the losses coming at Kansas City, at the LA Chargers, at the Baltimore Ravens, against the Vegas Raiders, and at Green Bay. 12-5. You ended up with?
That's what I ended up with. Don't ask.
I don't have my pencil in front of me. That's I think where I am. But one thing about this schedule, quick before we go, I'm trying to think of any game last year where they really laid an egg. Other than, well, of course, the opener that was a dinosaur egg there. But one thing I kind of sense about this year's schedule is they're going to be in every game. I don't see them getting blown out by anybody. See them as being a team with the kind of resolve where that 12-5 is not at all unrealistic, and they're not going to be up one week and down the next. They're going to be a pretty consistent team this year, I think.
To answer your question, yeah, the other dud was the first game against the Steelers in Pittsburgh. That was the 30.
Yeah, that's right. That was about the same as the Baltimore game, score-wise, 38-6 or thereabout. Yeah, good.
Yeah,
good pull, Dave. But yeah, they were two last year, and they were forming their personality as a team, and I think you'll see that it is better formed this year.
I agree. I don't feel embarrassed about 12-5. I think this is a team that. Here's where I set the expectations: a trip to the AFC Championship game, and that puts you in the mix. We'll see. I think that's realistic, but I still have them 0-1, George. I think both things are true. 0-1 AFC Championship game.
Look, dude, you just have my chicken wings ready, all right? I don't want to hear it from you. Just have my chicken wings ready, and
By the way, that could be the matchup with the Chiefs.
You know where I like my chicken wings from. Don't forget the blue cheese. Don't forget the celery. And yeah, I want loaded potato skins too. So there.
Hey, George, I like health food too, so God bless you.
Only on Sundays during football season, Steve. Only on Sundays during football season. All right, guys. I think that should do it. I'm
right.
George Thomas with Nate Ulrich, Steve Doerschuk, and we'll see you during football season, perhaps even during training camp. You guys have a good night.